Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Good morning, it's the Workers Beat. I'm Gene Lantz. The number is 972-647-1893. And
I am Bonnie Mathias. Good morning.
Bonnie is from CWA 6215, and I'm from UAW 848. Both very, very interesting unions to be right now.
Yes.
Stuff that's coming up. Today there is a demonstration at City Hall against the corporation known as Monsanto. This has something to do with genetically altered seeds,
yes,
I suspect. And I understand they had 1,000 people last time. I got a note from Kit Jones of Move On in Tarrant County this morning that says, we are going to be there, and we don't care how much it rains.
Rain or shine.
So rain or shine, the march starts at 1 o'clock today at Dallas City Hall. That's on Young Street. It's really on
Maria.
It's really on Maria, but that's just a little kind of an alleyway up there.
Yeah.
It's really on Young Street. You'll find it on Young Street. And it's across the street from the public library in Dallas.
I was going to say, if you can find the public library, you can find City Hall.
Now, the one that the unions are working on is a nationwide day of action for Tuesday, October the 15th. And our particular protest here will be at 11 a.m. at Senator Ted Cruz's office. Now, Senator Ted Cruz has moved. He's not up there on Highway 75 anymore.
Oh, bummer.
No, he's not in the old office where Kay Bailey Hutchinson used to be. He's down on Hall Street, somewhere near Cedar Springs. I don't have the address. I think it's 3505. But if somebody knows the address for Ted Cruz's office in the Oak Lawn district, which is kind of a funny place to put a very conservative person,
guy, right?
Isn't it? Because Oak Lawn's pretty liberal.
I read this morning that his phones aren't being answered.
Yeah, they don't. He doesn't answer his phone.
He doesn't. Maybe they're just so backed up that they just can't get any more calls.
Well, all the calls said the same thing, which was
right. Yeah, big
and so they just recorded that once or twice, and they had it.
They had it. That's good.
I guess. Anyway, Ted Cruz is not answering his phones, and
shocking, simply shocking.
Yeah, he's kind of right now for some people he's the hero of the hour. He's the dashing knight, the one who couldn't possibly win but went right on slugging, went right on in his silvery shiny armor anyway. And for other people, he's the biggest boob since Joseph McCarthy, I guess.
Pretty close.
The worst person in America since Joseph McCarthy.
They could kind of go hand in hand, actually.
And we're not going to say here how we feel about it because me and Bonnie are, as the audience very well knows, we're very, very objective.
Very.
Bonnie and I.
Yeah. Oh, we are?
We don't.
Oh, sorry, I guess, we sure are.
We sure are.
Yeah.
We sure are objective here. So please come to the protest on October 15th. This is the one labor is behind. It's a nationwide day of action to try to end the government shutdown and to put off the real disaster, which is supposed to come on Thursday, October 17th, and that's a failure to raise the debt limit. If the Republicans hold strong, if the ones around Ted Cruz hold strong, they will not raise the debt limit on Thursday, which is going to cause a worldwide economic catastrophe. In fact, the Economic Policy Institute says that if they hit the debt ceiling, this will be like an anti-stimulus that at least twice as large as the stimulus. that we had in 2008 to get us out of that
So it
that
will
recession.
negatively
Yeah.
impact.
It'll be twice as bad as that one was good, as far as saving the economy
That's
goes.
not good.
That's what the Economic Policy Institute says. They're a bunch of economists.
Yeah.
So
They're supposed to be really smart.
so it could be a real disaster.
Yeah.
I understand that the Republicans have pretty much given up on stopping the Health Care
Affordable
Act.
Care Act, that's already been signed into law.
The one that they said that they were going to overturn. I think they've pretty much given that up, and now they're turning their sights to beneficial goals that would help everybody, like cutting Social Security.
Oh yeah, Medicare, yeah,
and cutting
yeah,
Medicare
yeah.
and cutting
and
Medicaid. They want to privatize Medicare.
Yeah, bad idea.
And
bad idea.
And cut Social Security. So us retirees, I'm a retiree, folks. Us retirees are supposed to pay for whatever it is that they want us to pay for. I guess the sins of the ages. They want us to pay for something. So their idea is to cut retirees as much as they possibly can.
So what did you guys do that they're so mad at you? I don't know.
Well, we're
man.
older than everybody else, so I guess it
Well,
makes
I guess
sense.
you'll die sooner.
It makes sense
so
that we would be more responsible for the sins of the ages.
I
guess
thought it was Ted Cruz and his.
They are. They're certainly out to get us anyway. And as soon as they stop talking about overturning health care in America and turning it back over to the insurance companies, then they started talking about cutting insurance. In fact, there's a letter with 51 Republicans signed this letter to Speaker John Boehner, and that makes Social Security cuts the latest ransom demand of the Republican hostage takers in Congress. This may be unwelcome news to the many Tea Party Republicans who depend on Social Security benefits, because a lot of them do.
Yeah.
The letter, signed by 51 Republicans, says that the Social Security provides us the best opportunity to begin solving our nation's significant budget imbalances, and that the ongoing fiscal discussions in Congress provide an opportunity to address entitlement program deficits with our limited time frame to take action before we run against fiscal deadlines. So in other words, all we have to do is cut the retirees, cut the living heck out of the retirees, and that's what 51 Republican lawmakers are circulating around. That's their idea of a solution.
But that's not a majority anywhere.
We don't like this solution. I can tell you right now, brothers and sisters, that the Alliance for Retired Americans is against the solution of cutting the throats of the old people.
That's right.
The AFL-CIO has a new Hostage Watch webpage. It's aflco.org and then /GOP shutdown. They're calling this the Republican shutdown.
Well, it is.
Well, the Republicans are saying it's the Democratic shutdown.
How did they figure that? They have the majority in the House. How did they figure the Democrats did?
They not only did it, they bragged about that they were going to do it for 2 months before they did it.
And now they want to blame it on somebody else.
Yeah, and it was Cruz himself who floated this idea mostly, more than anybody else. The senator from Texas, and we're all going to get blamed for that.
Of course.
The whole rest of the world is going to say, well, those idiots in Texas have elected another person to embarrass us in the world.
Yep.
One of the things that the AFL-CIO is recommending is raising baby formula, because WIC is not giving people baby formula. Poor people have to have baby formula, and they're not getting it. What's WIC? Women, independent children, or something like that. Women, infants, and children.
And children, right? Because it provides the specific food groups that pregnant and new mothers, infants, and children need to grow properly. Calcium with milk and cheese and certain cereals and things like that. And baby formula. Yeah.
And baby formula. So the AFL-CIO is recommending that we get in on this raising baby formula business, because Senator Cruz and the people who have caused this shutdown have cut off baby formula for poor people's children. I don't know what we're going to do about that. The American Legislative Exchange Council, also known as ALEC, a group that creates model right-wing and anti-union legislation for lawmakers around the nation, was heavily involved in efforts to undo the Affordable Care Act, says some liberal publication. No, this was in the Dallas Morning News. Yeah, that ALEC was responsible for setting up this whole program of overthrowing the government, shutting down the government, and and bringing us right up to the very brink of
Disaster.
economic disaster, not just for America, but for the whole world.
The whole world. Well, it's a global economy.
But the New York Times reports that the grand old party, the Republicans, may be pivoting to seek cuts in Medicare and Social Security as its ransom. So instead of ransoming us with health care, they're going to ransom us with cuts in Medicare and Social Security. I suppose we're supposed to put Medicare and Social Security and Medicaid too.
Yeah.
We should put that in a brown paper bag and leave it by a certain park bench for the Republicans to pick up, and in that way they'll release their hostages.
But they won't, Gene. That's the thing. They won't release the government. I almost think they enjoy this stuff.
Yeah.
They like it. They're like thriving on it.
Because I got this New York Times reports. I don't read the New York Times. I got it from Ed Sills, where I get a lot of my information. Yeah. Ed Sills is the communications director for the Texas AFL-CIO. If you're not getting Ed Sills' information, and if you have a computer, go to ed@texasaflcio.org and just tell him you want to start getting the news, because you can get the news from working people's point of view every day from Ed Sills. Ed Sills adds, he says, the New York Times says the GOP is going to try to take away Medicare and Social Security. And then he says, of course, the folks who made the completely unnecessary lockout happen should get nothing whatsoever for letting the government continue. In other words, if someone is a kidnapper and is holding you hostage and says, okay, well, you don't have to give me health care. You can just give me retiree benefits instead. Should they get anything at all? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think we should negotiate with terrorists.
What do you think, radio listeners? 972-647-1893 is the number. We're kind of talking about the economic crisis, and I guess really everybody should be talking about it. We actually intended to talk about the school board race, and I invited both school board candidates to come in today. Neither one responded, and neither one showed up.
Bummer.
It was a bummer. I did notice in today's newspaper that the AFT, American Federation of Teachers here in Dallas, which is called the Alliance AFT, has endorsed Christy Lara.
Yay!
The same article also says that the other guy is raising approximately 33 times as much money. Her amount of money is very, very insignificant, and his amount of money is quite substantial for a school board race.
So in essence, the Dallas Morning News said because he has more money, he's going to win.
She said they say he's already bought it.
Yeah.
They said, quote, he has a clear path to the school board seat, and it makes a lot of difference. And this is why I wanted to have them both on, because of Jim Schutz. Jim Schutz was talking about the whole issue being whether or not they're going to keep Superintendent Mike Miles. The minority candidates or the minority trustees on the school board all tried to get rid of him. And the Anglos all gang together and voted to keep him. So it was a 5-3 vote. But see that one guy wasn't there. Adam Medrano wasn't there because he's gone to city council now.
Right.
So they're having an election between a guy named Miguel something and Christie something, and they are running. They're running to fill that other seat. One of them would probably vote to get rid of Mike Miles, and the other one would almost certainly vote to keep him because one of them was actually an assistant to Mike Miles. And so I thought it was a big deal. And Jim Schutz talked about it, and he wrote about it in the Dallas Observer. And so I invited them both. I thought we'd try to get to the bottom of it. It looks to me like, at least the Dallas Morning News says that the man is going to win. He's got a clear path because he's got 33 times as much money as the woman. I'm not so sure.
I'm not either.
Because
I don't think I'd put all my eggs in that basket.
I am looking at the elections coming up. Of course, most people are looking at 2014 already. They've already forgot about the fact that we have an election November the 5th.
Right.
They're looking at 2014, and I have asked around. I asked State Representative Rafael Lancia last 2 days ago.
Thursday.
And he said yes, 2014 will be the year of the women.
Yeah.
It's going to be the year of the women. So Christy Lara might get some votes just because it is coming up the year of the women. And I noticed on her Facebook page that she had a picture of herself with Wendy Davis.
Oh,
and I think she
good.
got in Wendy Davis to sign one of her endorsement cards.
Good.
Wendy Davis is the big news in politics. And that election doesn't even occur for a year and a month.
Yeah,
from
it's
now.
like 2015,
But
right?
they're really hot on that one.
Well,
I had my retiree meeting on Thursday with at UAW Local 848, and people were standing up and raving about Wendy Davis. In fact, they passed a motion. It wasn't me. I didn't put them up to it. They passed a motion to get Wendy Davis signs as fast as they possibly could.
awesome.
And as far as I know, Labor hasn't even endorsed Wendy Davis.
No, I don't believe so.
The state teachers federation, the Texas Federation of Teachers, which is also part of the AFT, they endorsed her as soon as she announced.
As soon as she announced.
I guess they
don't
must.
even think that she was off the podium yet when they announced.
They must have already had a meeting about it and said, well, when she announces, we're going to endorse her. And I think the rest of Labor is going to endorse her. My union president, Romeo Munoz, who knows a lot about politics, told me that it's practically a certainty that the AFL-CIO will endorse Wendy Davis. The reason may not have that much to do with Wendy Davis. The reason is that her opponent will almost certainly be Attorney General Greg Abbott.
That's so scary.
The Attorney General who just implemented voter suppression in Texas and has not only has he carried out a lot of anti-labor stuff, he's initiated a lot of anti-labor stuff. So people who work for a living and know anything about politics are pretty scared of the idea that Greg Abbott may be the Republican nominee for governor and may very well coast on through because he's got enormous amounts of money. We were just talking about the school board race where enormous amounts of money have accrued to one candidate, and the Dallas Morning News says, well, he's got it now because he's got all the money. And the same
but they didn't endorse it.
Same thing may be true of... No, they haven't endorsed yet.
Right.
Dallas Morning News hasn't endorsed in the school board race yet, but you know who they're going to endorse.
Well, of course, the person with the most money.
Yeah.
Like they always do.
What do you think? 972-647-1893. Bonnie and I have been known to have some opinions.
Yes.
But your opinions are important too. So call us at 972-647-1893. Let us know what you think. I put little stars on all of my notes that had anything to do with the government shutdown and the economic crisis. But here's one I didn't read. As a proposed 6-week kick-the-can-down-the-road hike in the debt limit appears to be taking hold in Congress, congressional Democrats from Texas Today called on U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas, and other Republicans who created the government lockout to back down and let the government reopen. And I got that from the Dallas Morning News as well. So that's all of the notes that I had about the government shutdown, but I could talk about it for simply ever.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not good.
It always reminded me of that movie Blazing Saddles. Now most people are not old enough to remember Blazing Saddles,
One
but
of my favorite
there's a
movies.
character in it. It's a cowboy movie. There's a character in it who holds a gun to his own head, and he says, "One move, make one move, and I'll shoot the hostage." And he's holding himself hostage. He walks through. Everybody doesn't know what to do, and he's going through all these cowboys with his gun pointed at his own head. So that's pretty much what's been happening in America, and the rest of the world is
Laughing.
they're laughing at us, and moving up on us too. I understand that the president was not able to make some of his appointments in Asia, and who was right there but the president of China.
Yeah.
Showed up at all those things and made whatever kind of gains needed to be made or could be made. Is it time for our break? I don't hear the music, but I know it's break time.
You do?
So we'll be right back.
Man, you're good.
Call us.
I got to work this morning. Something seemed kind of strange. My buddy Joe was missing. There's a machine sitting in his place. I turned around and I asked my boss, can you tell me what's this all about? Oh, he told me all right.
Rice and Wheat is located at 4906 Maple Avenue at Medical District in Dallas and offers a variety of Asian fusion dishes from Vietnamese, Thai, and Japanese influences, including pho, spinach pasta, bento boxes, and more, with vegan options available, as well as beer, wine, and sake. Rice and Wheat is family owned. Hours of operation are Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. KNON thanks Rice and Wheat for their support.
Follow KNON on Twitter at Knon 89.3 FM.
Follow us now.
Be the first to find out about KNON events and get updates on KNON. That's Knon 89.3 FM on Twitter for updates on benefits, programming, and more.
Blue Monday, how I hate Blue Monday. Got to work like a slave all day. Here come Tuesday, oh Tuesday. I'm so tired, got no time to play. Here come Wednesday, I'm beat to my side.
We're back on the Workers' Beat, and we would like to hear your opinion. Before we get off the subject of politics and economic catastrophe, call us at 972-647-1893 and see if you can get your voice on the air, because it's important. Community radio likes it when you call. What you got on your computer there?
Well, I am going to look up a couple of things so I can connect to the internet here.
And get the latest dope.
Get the latest dope.
The latest dope is in the newspaper this morning. It says that the deal for the 6 weeks extension is not going to happen. The president has said, "What do you mean 6 weeks extension? A 6 weeks extension on the government, on keeping the government running?" He says he wants a long-term solution.
Well,
and so does everybody in America.
Haven't we already kicked this can?
Except the stock market. The stock market seems to be doing great. I cannot figure this out. There's an economic crisis going on. Babies are not getting their formula, and the stock market is going up. Isn't that fascinating?
That's kind of backwards, isn't it?
Yeah, well, for a long time I used to complain that the stock market went up when unemployment went up. That was also really, really, really sad. But I haven't seen that lately.
No.
Because unemployment's been about the same for some time.
It hasn't really changed.
The disaster, it just stays down there. Did you know that there are 5 million unemployed workers that are not even looking?
Really?
That's what the Economic Policy Institute says. 5 million workers, if they were counted as seeking work. In other words, if all 5 million of them just got up and said, well, we're going to look for work this week, then the unemployment rate would be 10.1% instead of 7.3%.
Wow.
So that's the reason that the unemployment rate has gone down is because there's so many people just not even looking for a job.
Yeah.
Because the rate is the number of people looking for a job divided by the number of people that have got a job, I guess. Anyway,
I guess. I'm
something
not
like
sure
that.
How it works.
If you're not looking for a job, they don't count you.
Wow.
And so there's 5 million of them that have given up. They've gone back to live with their mothers, gone back to school, gone to jail, something like that. Anyway, they're not looking for work anymore.
We have Owen online too. Good morning.
Good morning, Owen.
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing today?
Glad to hear from you.
Yeah. I just want to tell you that my father retired from CWA as a telephone man, and I just got through retiring from the Carpenters local union. And it was one thing that was really nice that in a union situation that you get that nobody else does is all those years working all them union hours, they gave me a hell of a pension plan at the end, and that check, you would not believe and it's just like a automatic savings, account. I never missed the money because it was just going straight into it, and so that just allowed me to really restart my retirement really, really nice. I'm a long time union member. But one thing I just wanted to comment on what y'all are talking about. That whiny little Ted Cruz. I mean, he was in front of every camera, and he was doing everything in the world trying to get this thing all started. But you notice the last week or so, you haven't seen him at all. He just They must have told him to shut up and go away. He's not on the screen or anything at all. You know, I mean, they got to. I mean, I think that's hilarious. It just goes to show what kind of a lack of character that he really does have.
You're right, Owen. Although he has been busy with speaking engagements.
Oh, has he?
Yes.
I was going to say he's not answering his phone. Maybe he's dead.
Ooh.
So you're saying he's got a speaking engagement?
Yeah, he spoke at some big conservative woo-woo.
Well, you know, Owen mentioned your pension is really good, and that is wonderful, and glad to hear it. But the truth is, people who don't have a union nowadays pretty much don't have a pension.
That's right.
That's my point.
They're dumping them right and left.
That's my point exactly.
Yeah, General Electric, all the big corporations are just dumping people that they've been promising their pensions to, and they just said, "Oh well, you don't have that anymore."
Yep.
And that's what I don't understand. I mean, how can they make all those pledges and contract agreements for years and decades, and then all of a sudden just say, "Well, we changed our mind. It's not going to." I mean, how can you do that?
They didn't have a contract, and that's how they did it. Yeah. They didn't have a contract because they didn't have a union. So congratulations for you for having a union, for sticking to your union, and and for thinking through this crisis too, as well as you have.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Somebody else calling us too?
Yes, we have Patty on line 1. Good morning, Patty.
Oh, good, a woman.
Good morning. How are y'all today?
Good.
Morning,
how are
Patty.
you?
I really don't even know your names. This is my first time to listen to you this morning.
Mm-hmm.
But I was wondering why it's okay for the president to have a lot of money backing him to run for the presidency, but it's not okay for Greg Abbott.
Okay. The president did have a lot of money backing him, and so did his opponent. Yes. Who had the most? Patty, do you know? Who had the most, President Obama or the guy who was running against him?
I really don't know. I'm sure the
either.
president did because
But while we're at it, let's just complain altogether about how money is taking over the elections.
Yep.
The Supreme Court has made it
very easy.
Yeah, very, very easy. In fact, don't they have another case coming up that's going to be very much like the Citizens United?
Yep.
It could make it even worse.
Could make it even easier for corporations and big business to continue to give big money to politicians.
Yeah. So I don't know, Patty. The answer to your question, I think it's a dirty shame that money is running politics the way it is.
Right.
And the Dallas Morning News today said this one guy has got a clear path to victory because he's got the most money. And people are saying that about Greg Abbott too.
Don't you consider that a biased opinion? Why? Do you just get your information from the Dallas Morning News?
Oh, heavens no. That's pretty much the last place I go.
I get most of mine from Ed Sills. Is there some better places, Patty?
Ed Sills.
He's with AFL-CIO.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Where are some better places, though, people should get their information?
Oh, goodness. Well, first of all, are y'all, I just want to know, are y'all Christian people?
Well, I am.
Bonnie, are you a Christian people?
I am.
I'm not
yes,
religious.
I am.
I'm not religious at all. Bonnie says she is. Bonnie goes to church every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's wonderful. So how, I don't see how you can be for someone who is for abortion.
We always go to that, don't we?
We're talking about what's her name that's going to run for governor?
Well, I'll tell you.
I could tell you a bunch of, actforamerica.org.
ATforamerica.org. Uh-huh. What are some more?
Goodness.
Okay.
I don't know if it's actforamerica.org or .com.
I see.
But she's.
This is.
Well, you know, it's real funny.
This is one of the anti-women groups.
No. She is.
He.
She used to live in the Middle East.
Uh-huh.
And she is speaking up for America, what's going on in America.
So it's either atforamerica.com or atforamerica.org. Okay, Patty. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks for calling, Patty. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Joe on line 3. Good morning, Joe.
Hello. Two things people better. You still there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we're listening.
Two things people better understand is working people and poor people in this country or in the world is thought of as nothing but trash and garbage. You get hurt on the job, guess what they want you to do? Die. That's what they want you to do. Hurry up and die and get out of the way. That's just where it is. It's all. I mean, when I was about 8, 9, 10 years old, I saw on TV where they shot down workers in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And that quicker people understand that you're nothing but you have to go to work early in the morning and work hard and you end up getting hurt on the job.
Mm-hmm.
And they want you to just hurry up and die. That's it. Because I tell you, my daddy worked down in where I'm from, down in South Texas. My daddy, when he went to Austin, he found out them people down in South Texas didn't pay him nothing to get his Social Security.
Is that right?
Yeah, he found out they didn't pay him nothing to get his Social. They told him, say, if you hadn't got out of Gonzales and came to Austin and got you a job with that, he didn't make a lot of money, maybe 13 or 14,000 in Austin, 15,000. But anyway, he made enough money to get his Social Security before he passed away.
Yeah.
And
well, it's true that workers' comp in Texas is just horrible.
Yeah.
I'm a victim of it myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I know are. But I was told that prior to 1989, I had a lawyer friend who told me that prior to 1989, Texas had some of the best workers' comp laws in the nation. Mm-hmm. But in 1989, they passed the present workers' comp law. It was House Bill 1. I know I went to the protest. And since then, if you get hurt in Texas, my advice, if you get hurt on a job, try to drag your cold, bleeding body to the state line and get and go to the doctor somewhere else, because Texas is an awful place to get injured on the job.
Yeah, a lot of physicians won't even accept workers' comp cases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where it is. You get hurt. They said back in the 80s when Ronald Reagan was coming in, they said nobody wanted to work. But when I went to those strange places early in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, people crowded there. They were stepping on top of each other trying to get these little $12 a day jobs.
Yeah.
I've seen
people say that nobody wants to work ought to go down to the day centers, to the day employment centers sometime about 5:30 in the morning, and just see the crowds that are suffering down there.
They stepping on each other, falling down on top of each other, trying to get these little $20 a day work. Money.
Yeah, it's really sad, Joe. You're right.
You're right, Joe.
Yeah, thank you and let me speak.
Thank you for calling
so much
KNON.
for calling. We appreciate that.
And everybody else can call KNON at 972-647-1893.
That's right.
I don't really want to get off the topic of the
government shutdown
and the economic crisis that's being created and the disaster that this is for working people. The more people getting laid off. Of course, there's about 850,000 government workers that were laid off, and I expected them to hit the streets, but as soon as they could, the Republicans unanimously joined the Democrats unanimously and passed a bill that said that they're going to get back pay. So they just sort of put them out and said, okay, you're going to just have to take a little vacation, and we're going to pay you when you get back.
Well, that's great.
Because they didn't want them hitting the streets.
So what are they supposed to do in the meantime?
Yeah,
I saw a posting. Somebody said, well, they just need to go get a loan.
Yeah, well,
I see. So is that I guess you could probably go to a payday loan place, except you don't know when you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
So that's not going to work.
And payday loans are
horrible.
Atrocious. Yeah.
You go to the bank to try to get a loan. Well, right now you're not working. They're not going to give you a loan if you don't have a job right now.
Besides that, people like to do their jobs.
Well, yeah.
People, especially like you say, food stamps. Let's say you're the one that helps people get their baby formula. And here comes these people that don't have any money, don't have any prospects, and they've got a new baby.
And there's nothing you can do to help them.
Unfortunately, that's who has the new babies.
That's right.
And let's say you're in charge of giving out the baby formula or something, or giving them money for baby formula or stamps or whatever they get. I'm sure you would like to go to work and get that done. You don't really want to let people suffer the way they're suffering.
Surely not.
So it's a hardship. But nevertheless, they did pass a bill saying that they would pay them when they get back, and I think that was clearly an effort to keep people from going on the streets. Now, the AFL-CIO is calling for people to hit the streets.
Absolutely.
And that's why this action on Tuesday at Ted Cruz's office on Hall Street is so important. That's 11 o'clock Tuesday at Ted Cruz's office on Hall Street. Let's see some turnout at these things. The last one I went to, which was really the first one that happened in this area, on the day after the government shutdown, we had a very poor turnout. And I was very embarrassed for the people of Dallas that they just, or the people of North Texas, that they just didn't know what to do. You know, they're just circling around. They don't know who to blame. You know, the polls show that some people blame the Democrats and some people blame President Obama. And most people, the polls show that most people blame the Republicans. But nevertheless, there's confusion, you know, that they're not sure who to blame. They're not sure what to do about it. Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, what to do about it. Get off of your tailbone and get out and take action. You can call Congress. You can write a letter. You can call your mother-in-law. You can take to the streets, and you can certainly be out there with us at 11 o'clock on Tuesday at Ted Cruz's office. You can walk. How do you think all this stuff happened?
Right.
You take the civil rights movement. That's within the memory of most of us. Do you think that just happened because President Johnson sat down one day and said, you know, I sure would like to do something for African-American people? They just seem so sweet, you know.
Yeah, that's so. I'll do something special.
So cute with their watermelons and everything.
Yeah.
So I would just like to do something.
That's what he said?
That isn't what happened. What happened was that people got spit on. They got shot.
Attacked by dogs.
They got attacked by. They got their buses burned.
Water cannons.
And more than anything else, brothers and sisters, they marched.
Yep.
They put on their marching shoes and got out in public and stood up and said, we don't like the way things are going. We would like something better.
And that's not just about African Americans. It's about civil rights for all of us.
It's the whole history of the United States.
That's right. And if you take a look at the photographs that were taken in March of 1963, I'm sorry, in August of 1963, that's the March on Washington, you'll see, believe it or not, Charlton Heston.
Sure.
James Knon, Harry Belafonte, Diane Carroll, James Franciscus, Robert Wagner. All these guys were there with them in Washington,
and
marching.
that was hardly the first day of it either.
No,
that had been going on since the Civil War. People had been trying to get decent treatment for African Americans.
Right, that's right.
They still haven't won it completely, but they've made progress, and the progress all came because people marched.
That's right.
Because they didn't sit back in their easy chair and wait for somebody else to take care of it. And the same thing is true today. Now, Joe mentioned a while ago that working people were shot down the streets. That sounds kind of today, it sounds like, well, surely not.
Oh, yes,
but they did. Working people were shot down in the streets. Not by some maniac or something. They were shot down the streets by the police. And in some cases, they were shot down in the streets by the Army and often by the National Guard.
Yes.
So this happened all through American history. And American history and progress did not happen because somebody had a good feeling or something like that. It happened because people took action. And I want you to take action. And we're going to put Michael on.
Sure.
Okay. Good morning, Michael. Thanks for calling. What's up?
Morning, Bonnie.
Good morning.
Good seeing you Sunday. Reverend Charlie Stovall has got to be number one.
Yes, Reverend Charles Stovall certainly is number one. I agree with that.
He asked me to shine my jolly Santa Claus-looking fat face across all of these inequities and smile and love these people. And when I criticize them, do not be surprised when I get stabbed in the back. He said, happen to me, it can happen to you. If you try to criticize those who are your supporters, they will get on you. But that's what Charlie Stovall asked me to do, was just calm down, let these frenetic union doozers do their due, back off and pray for all of them, because the symptom is the disease. He said, don't you doubt me.
All right. That's
Owen Ware and Gene Lantz have a relationship, and with that being acknowledged,
sounds like good advice, but we got to take a break, Michael. Appreciate it very much, and those good words about Reverend L. Charles Stovall. Be right back.
Heard the story, John Henry Brown spent his life beating steam drills down. Names have changed, stories the same. The working man's left in the pouring rain. Boss man has the answer for you.
Howdy, this is Don O from the Friday edition of Texas Blues Radio. KNON just celebrated 30 years of broadcasting, and now I'm celebrating my 30 years on KNON. Join us for a KNON benefit Sunday, October 20th, with special guests, Larry Lampkin from Fort Worth, Texas. Greg Eisler and the Box Kickers from Austin, Texas. And from Dallas, Jason Elmore and Hoodoo Witch. Admission includes a free barbecue dinner from the Alligator Cafe while it lasts. So get there early. And since it's my party, there will also be cake while it lasts. That's Sunday, October 20th at Port David's Pub, 1313 South Lamar in Dallas. Doors at 4 p.m. Music starts at 4:30 p.m. Tickets available now online at knon.org, at Good Records in Dallas, and Forever Young in Grand Prairie. Tickets cost more at the door, so get your tickets early. Come on out and help me celebrate 30 years on KNON. Your ears will thank you for it. This is a KNON benefit event.
The third annual KNON Halloween Fey Voodoo Party is coming to Port David's Pub on Saturday, October 26th. Doors are at 8 p.m. for an evening of frightening fun with the spooky swamp sounds of JB and the Zydeco Posse. We may not be able to go to Haunted New Orleans for Halloween, but we can recreate the spirits of NOLA here. There will be costume contests with prizes for scariest, most original, and most Cajun. So start digging through your closets and planning your costume now. And even better, we will be celebrating Jim Bro from Monday night's Cajun Zydeco Music Party's birthday. Advance tickets are available at KNON.org and Forever Young Records in Grand Prairie. That's the third annual KNON Halloween Fey Voodoo with JB and the Zydeco Posse, celebrating Jim Bro's birthday with costume contests and more. Saturday night, October 26th at Port David's Pub, located at 1313 South Lamar in Dallas. This is a KNON benefit event.
Recycle Revolution is a local recycling collection service and community drop-off center. They collect and accept all traditional recyclables, including paper, plastic, aluminum, cardboard, and glass, as well as TVs, computers, lamps, light bulbs, batteries, ballasts, and styrofoam. They offer collection services to apartments, condos, and businesses. They also offer a community drop-off located at 1703 Chestnut Street in Dallas. For more information, 214-566-3025 or recyclerevolutiondallas.com.
I wake up in the morning at 4:45. The alarm clock is relentless, for goodness sakes alive. Back to the old barnyard, the Monday morning grind. If the boss man don't fire me, I'm walking a thin line, oh Lord.
What am I going to do? That's what the whole nation is saying. And particularly women with new babies.
Yep.
If you're poor and you have a new baby, you depend on WIC, women, infants, and children, to get your baby formula. And you to pay for your breast pump and stuff like that, and to pay for the extra food that a woman needs to make this stuff. So I wonder if anybody has a solution. Anybody knows what we can do in this area?
Well, there's good news, Gene.
What's the good news?
Evidently, the House GOP has offered a deal to end the shutdown and raise the debt limit.
But that's the 6-week deal. That's one that's for 6 weeks, because the morning paper said that that's going to be rejected. Because, what they want to do is they want to keep the stranglehold on the nation and just say, well, we'll give you a couple of weeks, or
right.
we'll give
November
you a few weeks.
22nd.
Yeah, November 22nd. Well, it is good news. It's better than the no offer at all, I guess. But at the same time, to take this just means that the crisis is going to go on.
And I don't think we should. That's almost to me is like caving, giving in. And I'm afraid that it's kind of like in contract negotiations. If you give just a little bit, next time they're coming after more.
Well, that's absolutely true. That's been shown over and over again that when you make concessions in union contracts, the company will just want more concessions. It's much worse than that for my union right now because the company wants to close the plant, open a new plant, and make it all non-union. And then they want to take the workers over there and say, okay, you're still our workers.
But you have to reapply for your old job, right?
You have to apply for a job. And that what they're saying is that your job is now a non-union job.
And it's also a
if it's
crappy
a non-union,
pay job.
So if it's a non-union job in Texas, no matter what else they told you, you got nothing.
You got nothing
because in Texas they can fire you for looking funny.
You can, if they don't like the color shirt you got on, they can send you home without, and that's it. Party's over.
Texas is a
right to work for less state.
Well, it's not. It's not the right to work law. It's employer at will.
At will.
It's at will. In other words, when the employer decides he don't will you to have that job anymore, you go home, or you go to the poor people's line or something, because. In other words, they can hire somebody for this new job and say, okay, we're going to keep your salary, we're going to keep your benefits or something like that at the new job. You just won't have the union, and so you won't have to be bothered with the union. And of course, if you're not bothered with the union, that means they fire you the next day.
That's right.
So they can come to you and say, okay, we brought you over here saying you're going to make $14 an hour. But now we've decided you're only going to get $8.
Yeah.
Would you rather do that, or would you rather go the heck home? Because you're going to do what we
your
tell
options.
you.
There you go. That's
Those are your options. Once you give up the union, as Owen told us a while ago, union people, some of them are still getting pensions.
That's right.
Pretty much everybody else is not. Although I did read a very nice newspaper article about some employer that was very happy providing pensions and providing health care for their employees. There are people like that, but they're the exception.
They're few and far between,
Most
unfortunately.
of them wouldn't give you the sweat off of their nose
yes.
for anything.
972-647-1893. That's the number here in the studio. If you have an opinion, we do want to hear from you. It's just really sad to me, Gene, that we're in this state of affairs because there's a few people that just don't get it. President Obama won the election twice. Okay. The American public spoke very clearly. All of this noise that I keep hearing from the GOP and the Tea Party saying that the majority of Americans do not want Obamacare. Well, it's really funny because Jimmy Fallon went out on the streets of New York and did it just kind of a little impromptu survey. If you had your choice between Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act, which would you choose? Now, bear in mind, folks, these are the exact same things. People say, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with that Obamacare mess. That's crazy." But that Affordable Care Act, that sounds pretty good.
Yep.
Oh my goodness!
It's true, and there've been more scientific polls along those same lines that have said the same thing. We were talking about campaign financing a while ago.
Ooh.
The new figures have come out about the 2012 election, and Labor was outspent by how much? Our friends at the Texas for Public Justice have released their biennial report on political action committee spending in Texas, and once again, Labor was significantly outspent by the business community in the 2012 election cycle. Businesses spent $70.4 million on Texas political contests, up 3% from the previous election. Labor, a group that includes unions that are both affiliated and not affiliated with the Texas AFL-CIO, spent $8.2 million, which was up 16%. So while Labor's PAC spending growth was faster than that of the business community, unions still contributed only a little more than 1/9 of what the business community spent on politicians. So They're outspending us 9-1.
And now we have another case in front of the Supreme Court that was argued this past week, contributions to candidates and the limits, because there are aggregate limits on contributions to candidates and political parties. But this guy, this Alabama businessman, is a conservative, and that's his love, is conservative politics. So he gave roughly $33,000 to 16 Republican congressional candidates and a similar amount to Republican Party committees. He wanted to give more, but a federal law caps the aggregate amounts that individuals can give to candidates and political parties. In 2012, those caps were roughly $46,000 for candidates and $70,000 for party committees. Now, he says there shouldn't be any caps. There shouldn't be any caps to amount of money that a business person or a corporation can give to candidates or political action committees. What do you think about that? What do you think about that, folks? 972-647-1893. You know, Citizens United said that corporations are people, and so they can give as much money as they want to. But again, there is a cap, okay? There's a cap of how much money they can give.
Supposed to be.
But this guy says, no, we want to get rid of that cap. We want to be able to give as much money as we possibly can.
And that sounds like freedom, doesn't it? I mean, well, I want to give all of my money, and somebody else says, I want to give half of my money, and that's more free, isn't it? But let's say one of them's got $50 million and you ain't got nothing. So is that fair? It ain't fair.
Is it really?
It's giving the corporations, the big money, a chance to run America. This was in that movie, Inequality for All, that I saw. I think it's still running at the Angelica.
I think so.
He talked about how big money is, that the wealth gap is just getting worse and worse and worse. But then he talked about how big money is just taking over and influencing. Democracy is actually buying our democracy and subverting our democracy. We're sliding toward some really nasty things that can happen. People say, well, it can't happen. But it happened in Germany. There was, one guy that everybody thought was funny, had a little funny mustache. Charlie Chaplin made a movie to laugh at him. And they said, well, this is just a funny thing. It's not going to really happen.
Yeah, that was like in 1932,
there's 40 million dead people, about 10 million of them cooking in ovens, and some really horrible thing came out of that. And, we should learn from history. We shouldn't just ignore
We shouldn't repeat it, that's for sure.
Patty called and brought up, did us a service by talking about campaign finance and the big money. And she said, why is it that we would complain that Attorney General Greg Abbott has raised so much money? And she said, we didn't complain when President Obama raised a lot of money, or when his opponent raised a lot of money. We never did figure out which one of them raised the most money. Nobody ever said.
Yeah, I don't know who raised the most money.
972-647-1893. You better hurry if you're going to call, because
it's almost
we're
over.
running low. But one thing that I like to look at when they talk about who raised all the money is not just how much money they raised, but how many contributions they got.
There you go.
How many separate contributions they got. And just talking about Greg Abbott, they ran an article in the Morning News a couple of weeks ago, and it said that Greg Abbott had something like 8 times as much money as his probable opponent, Wendy Davis, had. He had, I don't know how many millions. She only had 1 million or something like that.
Right.
But then they also compared
how many donors?
How many donors there were. She had 8 times as many donors as he had.
And if I'm not
because
mistaken,
hers was coming in at $50.
Right, at
her
a time.
average was $50 or $51, something like that. His average was $3,000 something. So I look at that and I say, well, there's a little bit of a analysis that can be done, not only as to how much money they have, but also how many different supporters they have.
Right.
And also, where did the money come from? If you found out that one candidate has $1 million and the other candidate only has $2, and then you found out that one candidate got all its money from Monsanto,
Yeah.
And assuming that you don't like Monsanto, there's going to be a march against them today. Then you would have to think twice about that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would think. I would hope you would think twice.
I would hope so. Yeah.
But many don't, as we know.
Unfortunately, they just look at the TV commercials. Some people do. For example, in the last governor's race, Governor Perry did not accept any invitations to debate, and he did not even speak to any of the editors that wanted to interview him across the state. He just ran TV ads, and he won by a big margin. So those TV ads make a lot of difference.
They also cost a lot of money.
I saw the TV ads, and it wasn't even,
They really
you'd
weren't
see
even that
pictures
good.
of him, but he would only say like a couple of words. He'd say, "I'm for Texas," or something like that.
Well, you don't want to have another oops.
So he didn't make a speech or anything. There was nothing content-wise, like what am I going to do or what kind of person am I or something like that. Just a lot of pictures of him running around talking, and he is a good-looking man. Governor Perry has a lot of hair. This has been pointed out many times. And he makes good TV commercials. And so he won the election without ever talking to the opponent, without ever talking to the issues.
Yeah, that's
or saying what he was going to do or anything. He did not say, for example, that he was going to make sure that the federal money did not get here for the unemployed people. He did not say that he was going to make sure that the federal money was not going to come here for Medicaid to get health coverage for poor people.
That's right.
He didn't say any of those things.
No.
Didn't even talk about really any issues. He'd just get on there and say, "I'm for Texas," and ran a bunch of ads and won the race. So money talks. It's unfortunate.
Well, and I'm really scared that if this Supreme Court case, if they rule to strike down the aggregate limits and make it unlimited money, free for all, we're going to be right back in the 1870s where political money is used to buy and own office holders. So the people with the money are going to take over and run everything.
I'm afraid it's true.
And you're not going to get it. Trust me, folks, this is not a good thing. The person with the most money should not be considered the most qualified, nor just say, oh, well, they'll win because they have the most money.
In fact, I'm more suspicious of it if that money came from big corporations, because big corporations are not the friend of the working people.
No.
They say they are, and they say it often, and they get to say it often, but they're not. They're not the friends of working people. In fact, they're out to chop us. They're out to cut us. They're out to make things worse for us. We say that all the time on the Workers' Beat, and KNON lets us say it. And I'm very, very grateful that they do, because it's the simple truth. But nobody else is going to say that. They're not going to say we're against big corporations, because they're getting all their money from the big corporations. And fortunately, I guess is it fortunate or unfortunate, Bonnie, that we don't have any money?
I don't know. I mean,
we're going to do fund drive before long, and we'll ask for some money.
We'll ask for money, and we need your contributions to keep the station on the air. I mean, it's a 501c3, it's a tax write-off, all that stuff. But you're not going to tune into any radio station in this Metroplex and find somebody talking about the government shutdown in ways that nobody else talks about it. Most of the stations around are not going to talk about the government shutdown, and if they do, it'll be in the terms of oh, it's a good thing, because most of those stations are owned by corporations.
They're not only owned by corporations, but they're run by corporations, and what they say has been either written by corporations or checked over by corporations, so that you can't trust them. It's unfortunate. I wish it wasn't like that, but I'm grateful that we do have KNON. We do have some sources on the internet where you can check things out and get things straight, and we work at it here at KNON. Bonnie and I are volunteers. We will be back next week, and right now we're gonna stop the Bonnie and Jean show and do the Bonnie and
Patty show.
Bonnie and Patty show coming right up.
All right.
See you next week.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.